Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. Once again, you are most welcome as always. Well, I've just shown in a bit of a quiet moment there, we're actually looking at some of the images from the HBO TV series Valley of Tears, which I'm sure many of you may have watched, and if you haven't watched it you should get it on catch up. It was on All 4 TV and I think it may be available, don't hold me to this, but it might be available on Amazon Prime and or certainly Netflix. And it's basically it's a short series, actually in 10 episodes, it's not that short, and it's a drama series basically about the 1973 Yom Kippur War, where the Egyptian and Syrian forces attacked Israel and tried to seize the Sinai Desert and the Golan Heights. And it turned into quite a bloody confrontation. I think it only went on for about 2 weeks. Was it 11 days? 2 weeks? It's not long at all. Early October 1973. And it's a drama series. It's got lots of characters in it. I must admit, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it, and it's not dubbed. It's actually subtitled, which can be a bit of a challenge with anything on TV. But it certainly opened my eyes to a conflict I didn't know really anything about, to be honest. Very short conflict indeed, a sort of a flashpoint conflict. And it heavily features these characters which I've shown here. I'm going to zoom in again so you can see, I'll just talk you through them and make a bit more sense the second time, I think. So what we have here, we've got there's a lot of political unrest going on in Israel, amongst other places, in the 70s, and we weren't alone in that. We've got here a chap who's actually a member of like a political resistance movement, but also has a job as a tank commander in the army. He starts off not being involved, and then when he realises that a war starts and this invasion starts, and these two opposing armies are threatening Israel, he rushes to the assistance of his comrades, and the Israeli Defence Force, which is a lot of which are volunteers, of course. He rushes in and goes to seek out his unit. Chap in the middle, who always reminds me very much of Gerard Depardieu. It's not actually him, but he looks a lot like him. And he is a Jewish French actor, I think. I can't remember his name, forgive me. I thought he was excellent in this series, but very, very good. And the lady here, she's actually the girlfriend, but also a member of the IDF, who is in the intelligence and command and control, one of the command and control centres. And her boyfriend is one of the front line sort of commando troops who gets put in great peril. I won't spoil it for you by giving you away too much, but let's look at some of these other images that we've got here. This is obviously this is what we're going to talk about. This is the Centurion that the Israelis were using, known as the SHOT KAL, and we'll come back to that in a second. So this is their main battle tank. They also, I think, had some Patton tanks left, maybe a few Shermans as well, their versions of it. Now this is an interesting one. This is the two of the main characters. This guy on the left is the boyfriend I mentioned, who's the sort of commando guy. The one on the right that looks like a geeky sort of a Jewish Israeli version of Harry Potter. He's quite a pivotal character. He's actually an intelligence officer in the listening post on the Golan Heights, and he actually overhears via radio listening equipment some of the radio chatter, in which he hears that the Russian advisors are pulling out, and he knows the Syrians are therefore likely to be, he knows that they're amassing on the border, and he urges everybody not to go home for the Yom Kippur celebrations. It's their annual holy sort of day where they fast for Yom Kippur, and everybody's going on holiday for the weekend, and he's saying no, we mustn't, there's going to be a war, and they're having a row about it where he hasn't got a lot of credibility, they don't really believe him. So yeah, it's all part of the drama really, but anyway. So we just go back in there, we've got the main list of the characters here. Whoops. It actually struck me because this character I've just mentioned to you, he's not featured in that picture, which I found very odd because he's one of the key characters. He's kind of a bigger character than she is, for example. And probably more than he is as well, but anyway, strange the way that they've I thought he would be in the main. This is the promo photo which shows the SHOT KAL Centurions in the foreground, Anyway, it's a very interesting thing to mention about these characters, not least because one of the key characters, of course, is the Centurion itself, the SHOT KAL Centurion, and this is very critical. This is on the Golan Heights, and what they did, they have these ramps, defence ramps on the Golan Heights, where they were able to, the Centurion can crank its barrel down, I think it's 16 degrees, very low angle, and it can shoot down at a very, very low angle because it has this very ramped up front end and a long barrel, and it enables it to have a low depression rate. And so what happened was they were able to shoot down from cover, basically, and that made all the difference. Come back to that in a second. Anyway, this chap, one more thing I'll say about this guy. It's very strange. Any of you that watch this, I'm sure that if you're watching this on TV, on terrestrial TV, you'll have had the same experience as me, where they didn't show the last episode. It got right to the point, at the most critical point of the war. This guy gets, well, I'm going to give the game away then about some of the plot lines. I won't do, but it's a very critical time. Him and another guy are in great peril, and you never actually get to find out what happens to them. Now, you could watch it, if you watch it on catch up, you'll see this, it's not a problem, you'll see all 10 episodes. But for some reason, all 4 pulled the last episode and said there were technical problems. And they gave this message out saying that they hope to come back to it in the future. Well, they never have, as far as I'm aware. So you have to go and watch it on catch up. But anyway, I'm just quoting the British situation. Excuse me. But this young chap, he's a real character, and he's not a soldier. You know, he's not really a soldier. He's a sort of a geek, really. But he's got this like a shoebox, and in the shoebox he's got a white guinea pig, which he calls Pine Nut, which is this character in the film. You keep thinking, what's this kid doing with this? Because he does come across as almost a child, and you're thinking, what's he doing with this white guinea pig? You know, and at the end, you never quite get to find out what happens to Pine Nut. But you see him wandering off with the girl in the background, not realising that that's his pet. And it's never really made clear at the end. Anyway, I mustn't say any more because I will spoil it. But I haven't spoiled it for you. Don't worry, I haven't given anything away. But I'll move on to the main event, which is a very impressive looking kit we have here. This is the AFV Club 1973 IDF SHOT KAL. And by the way, SHOT KAL, SHOT is the Hebrew word for whip, and KAL is the variant. It's a modified variant of the Centurion, and it basically means that it has a Continental American V12 diesel engine, a modified engine in it. So let's have a look what we got now. I know several people are building these at the moment, and I tell you what, it looks really good. So I think we have a bit of a winner on our hands, and that's before I even open the box. So certainly the feedback seems quite strong on this one. What does it say here? So it says it's a new tooling, parts for the diesel engine variant, that'll be the Continental I'm talking about. New tooling specified parts for the IDF version, clear parts for vision blocks and periscope system, and then once it's a rubber outer rim tyres, so it's got rubber rim tyres, that's good, that's unusual. Photo etch parts are also included. On the side we've just got a sort of a front and then a side profile that says the Ugad Paled, that's the division I think, Yom Kippur War, Golan Heights 1973, and then a rearward version. And in this drama series I mentioned, it actually starts with this, he sort of built up the characters for a sort of half an hour, but then it starts to get serious. That scene you just saw where the two guys are arguing, that's just before all hell breaks loose. And these guys are in a reserve position with their tank squadron. And the first thing they know about the war is Syrian MiG-21s arrive and start attacking them with bombs and cannon fire. And that's when the war really gets started. So it was very good actually. It was very good. I learned a lot from it. There's also some great documentaries on YouTube if you want to learn about the Yom Kippur War. Yeah, I think they quoted that the Israeli Defence Force had 177 tanks, and that there was something like over, I think there was something like well over 800 on the Syrian side alone. Never mind the Egyptians in the Sinai. The war ends with basically, certainly on the Golan Heights, they have victory. They actually have victory at both ends of the war. The Sinai end, there's another battle with these tanks at a place called the Chinese Farm, and again they managed to defeat overwhelming odds with superior gunnery, better tanks than the T-62 they're up against, and discipline, you know, and a lot of sacrifice and bravery, of course. And they end up with a ceasefire, and in the end, of course, the Israelis gave back the Sinai, but they didn't give back the Golan Heights. That's still retained. Most of that's still retained by Israel. It's a lot of it's kind of a demilitarised zone, I think. But some of you may be bigger experts on the subject than me, but I learned a lot. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Just another shot, really, of the tank from the other side. And of course our friends at AFV Club are made in Taiwan. So let's have a look what we've got in the box. Now this is actually very, very heavy. So I think we've got maybe some extra goodies in here. Now, one thing I do like about AFV Club, they have these adverts for their product around the lid. It sort of almost reminds me of Matchbox. But look at this. It's got several products being advertised. We've got the Scorpion, which I built, you might recall, last year. And then the Scimitar version, different gun. We've got the M40 155mm howitzer, what's that, the M10, no, the M36 tank destroyer. Centurion, which version is that? Centurion Mark 5 stroke 2.6. NATO version. Then we've got another version, Mark 5.1. We've got a... Sorry, I'm not showing you this very well, am I? Let's try again. There we go. Better. And then we've got another couple of vehicles there, and then we've got the IDF SHOT Centurion, which is the Mark 5. This is I think that's the slightly earlier version of this. And then we've got them pushing their track system, suspension and wheels. Now I've got to be honest with you. Zoom you out for this. I would urge a note of caution on that. I got the AFV Club Scorpion workable tracks. No, they weren't very good, I'm afraid. I didn't rate them at all. In practice they were poor. Anyway, so look what we got. Now, I don't own this kit, not mine. However, the owner is very keen that he's going to build it soon, and he has said, you must open the bags. And that's a real privilege, because I think this is going to be quite special, actually, this one. So let's just get them out. And there's a lot of sprues here, a lot of bags. And we also have some extras. This is why it's so heavy. We've got Master Club IDF Nagmashon Tracks, which is Nagmashon, I think is the nickname they gave it. And we've also got the mantlet cover in resin from Def Model, so that's going to be very nice. There's a ton of plastic here, so it's going to take me a while to get it out of the box. Alright. Quite looking forward to this one. I've got to be on there's more. We've got some photo etch as well. And then there are more adverts. Quite like the way they do it, actually. More adverts at the bottom. What have we got here? All sorts. German flak panzers, modern ones. They've got Tigers and Abbott self-propelled howitzers. M109, T34, 76, so on and so forth. We can pop that safely over there. And we'll have a look at the instructions. And what have we got then? So this is the SHOT KAL IDF. Oh, here we go. Got a little write-up on it for you. During the Six-Day War, the IDF have been suffering from the British-made Centurion tanks' short operational range. After the conflict, the IDF started to upgrade to the American Continental AVDS 1790 diesel engine to replace the Rolls-Royce Meteor petrol. IDF logistics system largely benefited from this all-new engine because it can be operated with a variety of different fuels. Okay. Furthermore, the M48 and the M60 tanks all adapted the same serial of engines, which just introduced to the IDF. To accommodate this new air-cooled engine, the compartment has been largely modified. Height was increased. Some of the English isn't too good. The height was increased to provide better cooling surface area, so it's raised it up. The engine was also increased to accommodate the new transmission. This re-engined Centurion was designated as SHOT KAL. In other words, whip Continental, if you like. Think of it like that. On the eve of the Yom Kippur War, the IDF had more than 1,000 SHOT KALs in the inventory. Almost 50% of their armoured. 50% of that was in the armoured units. These numbers do not do not tally with the ones I gave you, which were given from the series. Not quite sure who's right there, but there we go. They said they only had 177 tanks. And even the Yom Kippur, they had 1,000. I'm not sure that's true. 1,000 tanks? I don't think they had 1,000 tanks. I think this is wrong. Anyway, I don't think anywhere else if you did research could have come up with that figure, but anyway. It was considered to give personnel better protection. The SHOT KAL was mostly deployed in the northern hilly territory such as the Syrian border, Golan Heights. On the contrary, the M48s and M60s, which were equipped with torsion bar suspension and rubber block tracks, were mostly deployed in the southern open terrain area. So this was a bit more rugged, I think, able to take the more hilly terrain. In the Yom Kippur War, outnumbered almost nine times, the SHOT KAL tanks fought fiercely with the Syrians, whose target was to take the Golan Heights. Despite most of the SHOT KAL tanks and many lives were lost in the conflict, yet time was gained so that reinforcements could be assembled. The IDF then managed to launch its counter-offensive, and by the 15th of October, so it was about 10 days, they pushed the Syrians back to the east of the 1967 ceasefire line, so it was all for nothing for the Syrians. Alright, let's have a look at what we've got then. We've got call-outs for Humbrol, really? Strange how the people like AFV Club, they cling on to some very outdated paint options. I think they need to perhaps get real with what people are using these days, really. Anyway, starting off by building up your suspension bogies. And you've got real springs, I think, included in the kit, I believe. I believe we have them over here. See that? Look at that. Yes, I will take them out of the bag, don't worry. And then you're building up all the linkages, which look like they probably actually work. I think you've got working suspension. Then you've got this system with these wheels, and you've got rubber tyres. Rims are made of rubber. You've got an outer and an inner wheel, obviously. Then you pop in the. They've got a poly cap in here. So what you have then is an operating, fully functional wheel. You pop them using the poly caps. You just pop them onto the axle, and off we go. And then we start to build up our. It's got a bathtub type hull, and you're building up the back end of it here, and the sort of rear wall, so to speak, of the tank. Various equipment going on, towing eyes, boxes, etc. And then you're bringing in all these bogies that you've created are going to be fixed onto the tank, and you're going to have the drive sprockets, the transmission at the front, at the back on this one, and then you've got your bogies going on all the way down the side, and a little bit of drive. They've got the idler at the front on this design, haven't they? So the idler wheel is kind of at the front, and that goes there. And then you've got your return rollers, tensioner rollers if you like, along the top. And then you're putting in your cooling system. Lots of cooling vents on this one, obviously for the heat of the Israeli desert. And then we've got various stowage areas on top of the sort of mudguard top there, for both sides. You've got your tools going on. And then you're building in all these. You've got various components here. Exhaust, looks like exhausts. Is that exhaust? Or is that just a box? No, they're toolboxes. It's just the shape of it. It looks like it's got exhaust coming out of it. Very strange. So they're actually toolboxes that are going in place all along the top of the mudguards. And then you've got yet more vents going in here at the back. You put your lights on. Then you've got your frontal armour plating going on here, which they actually depict as a separate piece, which is good. And then we've got various lights, headlights going on. Obviously they have like a blinker system, a shield system, so they can't be seen from above. Spare fuel tanks going on, and then you've got spare tracks coming on here. Towing cables. Which I think is, we'll come to that in a second, but I think that's, there's a cable piece for that, like a It's almost like a fabric one. Then you're bringing in your, starting to build up your lower part of the turret and the mantlet, the gun. Then we've got the top of the turret. It's got quite a slim, low turret on the Centurion. I mean, it was a very fine tank, the Centurion. It served in the British Army for decades. It was so successful that it was replaced by the Chief in the late 60s, early 70s. So it must have done like 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. A long time in the British Army alone. So it was a good choice for the Israelis, this. Then you've got your sort of cage at the back for, it's basically a storage cage for the ammo, I think that is, for the spare shells that are spent. Chuck them out back. Then we've got the front of the turret and various stowage boxes, and we've got the machine gun going in there, and of course we've got the front of the glasses to the mantlet on here. On this one, of course, we have a nice replacement cover for this, which is actually a resin one, because it's actually canvas on the real tank, so they've kind of missed that off. Now we've got a metal barrel in this kit, which is very, very nice indeed to be included, I have to say. Popping that on, and then you've got your sort of cupola rings with your mirrors going in there, and you've got periscopes going in, the hatch going on, and we have a couple more vents and hatches, small hatches, and it shows you nice photographs. Well, it's an image there showing how it should look. Then you've got your machine gun going on, which I think is a 50 cal, I think it is. Probably a Browning 50 cal. And then you've got some photo etch going in there for the ammunition, fixing that onto the top of the turret next to the cupola. A couple of aerials you've got to produce, obviously, by stretching some sprue. Then you pop in your turret on. Not sure why it shows two turrets. Why is it showing two turrets there? I don't really understand that illustration, what it's trying to depict, because the turrets look identical. No, it isn't. It's got depicting two different versions here, I think, with two different types of gun, which is the illustration over here. So beware, it's not very clearly laid out, this. Be sure you know which version you're going to use. And then we've got the colour, sort of, well, not colour call-outs, but the detail call-outs, shall we say, for the colours at the end, and telling you the different markings and the different versions. Could have done it in colour, that would have been quite nice, really. And there we have it, and then on the back you've just got your sort of sprue map, so to speak. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the plastic and have a look what we've got here. Well, before we look at plastic, why don't we look at a bit of resin and some metal. So here we've got this very, very impressive looking DEF model resin mantlet canvas cover. Here we go. Now then, this is nice, isn't it? What have we got? Here it is. Oh, it's quite big, isn't it? Okay. Now I understand you're going to have to do a bit of cutting here, because I think you'll need to remove the mantlet that's standard. We'll see that in a minute. I think that's over here. So that's the standard one. That's the one you're going to use. I mean, it looks night and day better, doesn't it? Really? And I will get this out of the bag in a minute, but let's just do this one first. Isn't that nice? That's just phenomenal, really. Look at the detail there. Stunning. Look at that. Yeah, that's a very nice piece of resin, is that? So that just needs cutting out and getting ready, getting rid of the sort of sprue piece, so to speak. So that's the DEF model mantlet cover, which looks extremely nice. It's one of the nicest ones I've seen, actually. Then we've got another addition. We've got the Master Club track links. Now don't think I'm going to get these out as such. Give a little peep. Now these come with very interesting setup, I believe. They have resin pins, so this is interesting. Let's just get a couple of them in. So we have a bag here. Look at those, they are tiny. I'm not going to open this particular bag. Can you see the resin pins? They are small. Oh boy, you're going to need your glasses for this, I think. Look at that. Zillions of them. Certainly a couple hundred. Look at that. I'm not going to get them out because they'll go everywhere and we don't want to lose any. So, but look at those. They are really fine. I'm told that they're actually relatively easy to use. They're quite strong, as long as you don't abuse them too much. Look at that. So those are the pins. Now here's the tracks themselves, which are metal. And we've got 3 of them out here. Now then, he says, let's see if we can just hook a couple together. Can we? Yes, there we go. So, get the focus to come in. There we are now then. Look at that. That's quite a nice little track, I've got to say. Yeah, and they're pinned together with those resin pins. Bob's your uncle. So, very, very detailed. They don't look flashy. That metal looks pretty clean as well, which is nice. I've used the frill ones, but they often come a bit dirty, you know, they're a bit flashy and a bit messy. You have to start filing them and cleaning them up a bit. These seem to be, and everybody recommended these as the best ones, and they do look very, very nice indeed. So it's a cracking set. The only downside to this is time, you know. You'll have to invest some time in this, there's no doubt about it. Let's put those in there, safe to put the pins back in. Don't want those to come out anywhere. Well, that's really quite a nice little set, isn't it? So that's the Master Club, article number MTL 35207, and there they are on the back. Very nice indeed. So we'll pop those in there. Let's see what else we've got. So then we have got, I mean, the decals on this, the decals are very, very simple. It's not a heavily, you know, styled up tank. It's very simple. And it's just black and white decal, so I'm not going to bother opening these. But you've got a little bit of photo etch here, which looks quite nice, doesn't it? That's very decent. There's not much of it. Just a couple of areas. One of them is the, I think it's on top of the vent, on top of the turret. It's nice that they've got a couple of bits, and then we've got the tow cable, which appears to be like a nylon twine almost. That'll help you to get that shaped nicely. And then we're into the plastic. So, where to begin? As I say, I am told to open this. Thank you very much to the owner. Quite looking forward to this one. That's a nice tip. Time to get the trusty knife out. Now the question is, where is the trusty knife? There it is, hiding. Here we go. So, from the top, as they say. Let's try and bang this one. I think I might use scissors on this, it might give us a cleaner cut. Just cutting right at the end, it says. And he's discovered scissors are not as sharp as he thought, to be honest. So I was wrong, it didn't go a very clean cut at all, and at least I didn't lose any of it then. We've gone right to the end. Here we go. Oh my, they were hopeless. Now then, what have we got? Zoom you in so you can see this properly. We've got the bathtub style hull, and in here we've got the turret parts. Come to in a second. You've got some rubber band tracks, which I guess we won't be using. Do you know what? They're not bad. I said this about when I had the trouble with the Scorpion. I got these fancy AFV club ones, which weren't very good. The so-called working ones, and the rubber tracks were some of the nicest rubber tracks I'd actually seen, and these are pretty good actually. I have to say that as rubber goes, those are rather good. See if I can get this in a way that you can see it properly. Look at those. It's nice, isn't it? Very nicely figured. very precise, the moulding. Much better than we are used to, I would say. Yeah, nice. Very, very good. So I'll just pop that on one side. Oops. We've got some spare track links here, which are the ones that go on the front of the tank, I think. So these are just the spares for the crew if they break a link. Then we have a gun barrel which appears to be rifled. Is that right? Saying that, I can't really see it that well because it's so fine. Let's have a quick look. You see if that's rifled? Yes, it's rifled. Yeah, after a flashing. Yes, it is. Yeah, I don't know if that. I'm not sure if that's really coming out in the video. I suspect you're not going to get good enough because it's so reflective. Trust me, it's got a rifling at the end of it. So that's really nice, isn't it? Look at that. Nice metal turned barrel. Plus rifling. Superb. That's very good. Then we've got our turret here. He says, will that go together? Whoa! Hey, careful, it's not mine. It's not got the most obvious connection pins or anything. It just wants. It's not a problem. You just obviously glue it together. As we know, the trouble with connection pins is they can sometimes be too big or slightly misaligned, and then you get all sorts of much bigger problems. Having no connection pin is probably. It has got one in the apex there, so it does work. But there we go. You get an idea for it there. There you go. How's that? And then we've got this battered style, as we say, hull. So we'll just pop those all back, like so. Pop it back in its bag. It looks very nice. It's quite a simple hull at that point, anyway. I think with this you add a lot of detail later. That's how it really works. Looks nice. Looks very nice. Right, now then. Next, we've got this one. Sorry, I've just quite returned everything where it belongs. There we go. I know it's not mine. I think I have a strong responsibility to make sure I do it properly. Now then, small sprue here. We're back to using a knife now because it didn't go so well with the scissors, did it? There we are. There we go. And I think it's a multiple of the same sprue essentially. It is. So, petrol cans, towing hooks, nicely moulded though, isn't it? Yes, there's some very fine moulding going on here. Look at this. Look at this here. That's nice, isn't it? See that? Looks like it might have been slide moulded actually, that. Yeah, I like that sprue. Done it very well. Very clean and very neat. And I do recall with the Scorpion, I didn't only clean up. A lot of the issues with the Scorpion weren't actually the kit, it was those darned tracks that I bought as an extra which didn't really live up to the rest of the kit. Anyway, well, that's one. There's your first plastic. Second one, we've got multiples there. Seems to be. Just zoom me out a bit. Got some interesting parts here, I think. This still. Okay. Can you cut it hard enough? I'm going to need a new blade actually. There we are. Now then. Oh, is that the 50 cal? I think it is. There we are. Now then, how about that? Beautiful. That's really nice. I've got my bigger modelling zoom lenses on. That is really, really detailed. I don't know if it's coming out on the view there. I'm going to try and get you a bit closer. Can you see the bullets here in the magazine, in the stowage box? They're really well done. Very, very fine. Absolutely fantastic. That's very, very finely moulded. That's the best sprue I've seen from AFV Club yet. The only criticism is a tiny thing really, but the barrel end is solid, unfortunately. Can you see that? Here, the gun barrel end. Yeah, that could have done with being bored out, but obviously you can just drill it with the drill, you know. Not the end of the world. Now then. Okay, so here we've got some more petrol cans, or diesel in this case, isn't it? Because it's a diesel engine. And again, we've got some very, very fine parts here. Very, very nicely moulted. Spades, axes, all the usual tools, towing eyes. You've got lights. Yeah, various lights here. There. That's a cracking sprue. Yeah, loving it. It's very, very detailed. It's almost telling how like it. You know, it's that good, frankly, from what I've seen so far. It has quite a good reputation, this kit, it has to be said. Let's put that back in there and that back in there. Right, so, what we got next? A big one. Big one, need to zoom back for this. This has got the top of the turret in it. It's also got... trim this end off. Can't get that right. It has to be set. Right, there we go. Now then. Ooh, they've got this sort of texturing again. Very, very well done. With the sort of the cast metal, cast steel of the actual the hull, the top of the turret in this case. It's got a real nice texture to it. Can you see that? Yeah, that's very, very nice. Then we've got all our storage boxes and storage boxes at the back, on the side of the turret, and then we've got all the hatches. And they seem to put, they've done it very logically, they put all the hatches and turret parts together on one sprue. Nice, isn't it? There's the alternative machine gun we talked about, which is, I think one's a 50 cal, one's a 303. I think that might be a 303. Various other little hatches. There's your main standard mantlet. Nothing like as good as the Resin one though, is it? Even though it is very good. Yeah, that's a really nice sprue. It just reminded me of the new Tamiya stuff. It's a damn good looking bit of moulding so far. Next one. Well, this is the one that's got all the wheels and the suspension in it. Let's have a look at this one. They do pack them in these bags very, very tightly. That's one thing I didn't like about AFV Club. They're a bit mean with the bag. I mean, you've got to be careful when you open it, you don't cut into the parts because they are so tightly done. But we're in safely. Okay. Oh, this is where we've got the polycaps, like a rubber style polycap on these. There we go. This is what gives us the working driving, the working road wheels, I should say. Yeah, they're very, very good. Oops. There we are. Little polycaps. Then we have a bag of springs, the actual spring suspension for the bogies, which is really good, isn't it? Proper springs to make it working, fully realistic suspension. Very, very nice. Okay. And then we've got the main sprue itself with all these many wheels and bogie parts on it. So we've got quite a, it has quite a tough looking substantial sort of bogie system on these. And then quite a meaty looking wheel. And then in conjunction with that, I'm just going to jump across to this other bag, which is the one that's got the road, the rims, the tyres. So these are like basically a rubber tyre that's the road wheel rim, which is very nicely done, and they're very squidgy obviously, so you can paint them separately. It makes it easier to paint, doesn't it? You can just you know, you can just, it'll make life easy, surely, because you just whack some paint on these wheels and then you just put your rims on afterwards, your treads, so to speak. Here's all the parts of the bogies suspension. You've got your sprocket wheels and your idler wheels. Yeah, you've got 3 of these sprues that's identical. It's going to have 2. No, 2, sorry. Very nice. Again, there's nothing, not faulty really, you know, there's a lot of detail there. Plenty of sort of rivet and bolt detail. Very, very good. We'll put our little bag of tyres away. I say tyres, they're really treads, aren't they? Rubber tread for the wheel. Excellent. And then, what have we have got, bring me out again, I'm zoomed in a bit too much today I think. There we are. So this is the armour plated sides to protect the road wheels, obviously. Yeah, looks very nice, doesn't it? Very straightforward, nice and smooth, accurate. Nothing wrong with those. There's no flash on any of this parts. It's nicely manufactured. Then you have a big old sprue here. What's this one? Oh, this is the top mud guards. Running boards you might call them. Right, there we are. Lot of parts on this one, look at this. You've got your engine cooling grates right there. And you've got a couple of bits of tools here. Spade. Bit of the back of the turret box. And then you've got the back wall of the tank. I think that's the rear wall, so to speak. Then you've got these the running boards, the sort of sponsons on the side, on the top, wood guards if you like, just above the road wheels. So that nicely finely moulded parts here. Look at that. I have to say, I don't really care for the colour of plastic they're using. It's a very insipid sort of pale green. But I suppose they're thinking it'll take the paint well, you know. Chances are you're not going to go much lighter than that, even on the Israeli tank. In theory. Now then, here we have a small bag. Look in here. I'd say I'm mighty impressed with this. I'm more impressed with this than I was with the Scorpion. A lot more. Okay. Now then. Towing eyes, we've got headlights. Got some super fine parts here, look at those. Really fine. Even more fine, they've got these are the headlight guards you can see there. So they don't get kicked by the soldiers climbing on and off the tank. Got some very fine, there's little intakes, fire extinguishers here at the top. Wow, some really impressive stuff there. That's a nice sprue, that. Again, there's no flash. It's sort of matchbox, sort of crossed between matchbox and perhaps that's a bit harsh. Slightly more in detail than a matchbox, but what I mean is it's got this. There's a detail there, and there's a lack of flash. There's no cleanup. Looks like it's needed on this kit. Somebody did complain. I know that said there were some little sink marks which I haven't really noticed yet, or have I? Maybe I'll notice that in a second. There we go. Ha! I might have spoken too soon. Because I thought there was one there. I think I saw some here. I don't think it matters on this because this is the piece that has the armour plate ahead of it. But you can see a bit of there's a bit of a sort of sink mark here, isn't there? Is that coming out of the camera? There. Maybe one or two others here and there. But I've seen much worse. Again, you've got lots of additional grills here, and you've got hatches, more tools, spades, more vents, and you've got various parts. Be a little part of leaf spring suspension there. What's that? Yeah, there's some. It does stand up well to scrutiny, I have to be fair. The finish isn't maybe the best I've ever seen, but then again, you know, it's a tank. Once you get plenty of paint sprayed on it, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Some slightly odd finishing here, isn't there? I don't know if you can see this. Is it that? Yeah, it's not the best in terms of the actual plastic finish. It's a bit sinky, a bit swirly, but it's not actually something that I think is going to show too much on the finished model, so I won't worry about it at all. Then we have green screen. Then we have an interesting sprue here with all sorts of small parts on it. We've got little extinguishers and oxygen bottles and all sorts. Now then, little tools and all sorts of items here. Looks like a stretcher, a rolled up stretcher at the top right, doesn't it? I think that's what it probably is. A lot of small parts. There's a lot of parts. Now look at the weaponry. Look at the armaments here. Wow, we've got a bit of everything. We've got an Uzi 9mm. Uzi 9mm, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. We have got. Looks like a Kalashnikov. Is it? Perhaps it does look like a Kalashnikov, doesn't it? Looks like a couple of Kalashnikovs there. Uzi 9mm's got a wooden stock, which is quite impressive. You've got another 50 cal over here. Whoops. Let's see my watch. Another 50 cal over here. And then you've got all sorts of little tiny parts. And you've got. I like the way you've got the Uzi and you've got the Kalashnikovs. They actually have a choice. Can you see this? They have a choice of stock here. That's the skeleton stock. Yeah. Or alternatively, you can have a wooden stock, which I just saw and now I've lost. Where's it gone? I saw a wooden stock. You've got a standard butt stock here, very just like an L-shaped one. You've got the metal one there, and there's also a wooden one which I've just lost. I just saw it a second ago. Where's it gone? Got a second. It's over here. Yeah. There it is. Sorry, it's hard to spot there next to the Uzi 9mm. Wooden stock, and then you've got these sort of skeleton stocks. That's really well done. That moulding is really nice. They've even got a separate trigger moulded. Can you see this on the? I don't know if you can make it out on the Kalashnikovs. Actually has a separate trigger blade. That's very nicely done. I'm impressed. Some superb detail on it. Yes, that's a cracking sprue, that is. Cracking. Finesse of the moulding is just Sammy-like. Then we have a set of clear parts, which mainly it's the. It looks very good actually. You've got these periscopes that are moulded around the cupola hatch. Oops. I'm not getting that the first time. Careful. Dealing with clear parts here. Yeah, we've got. Look at that. That's amazing. So you've got the all the little periscope windows here. And that's moulded in a complete kind of ring. That's really well done. I love it. And then you've got a clear hatch. Is that for this particular tank? I'm not sure. Finding that a little bit hard to believe. But. And then you've got lots of other little periscopes and lights to be going on with. Very, very nice. Fantastic. And then last but not least, we have one more sprue to go. Again, the moulding finesse is really, really good. I'm trying to see if I can spot some of these sink marks that people have complained about. Maybe I just not got the right glasses on, but I haven't spotted them as being any obvious problems. But look at this, the transmission drive at the rear. Look at the bolts and the detail there. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? I can see why this is quite a popular kit. It's really got a sort of three-dimensional, deep detail quality to it. And then you've got, this is part of the top running boards again, where the stowage boxes are going to go ultimately. Wow. Certainly is looking very, very impressive. And that's it really. I don't want to sound too surprised, but it's actually exceeded what I thought. I thought it was going to be a real 8, 9 out of 10 kit, but I think it's better than that, to be honest. It's the quality of the moulding, the lack of flash. It's quite a solid sprue, and yet they've got no flash on any of the parts I've seen. A real sharp, super sharp 3D sort of detail to it. It really has got, whoops, let's open up a bit. Try not to drop anything, there's a bit sharp. Whoops, slipped out of the bag there. Yeah. That's one of the nicest tank kits I think I've ever seen. It's right up there with rifle, to be honest, which is praise indeed, I would say. It's not, I mean, they're not cheap, but it's not stupid expensive, you know. It's not one where you have to sort of take out a second mortgage. It's still an affordable kit. I'm very tempted to say 10 out of 10. I know that one or two people have making it and have complained, very small complaints, and have said there's a slight issue with some of the parts. I think maybe on one or two of these boxes there might be the odd dimple in terms of maybe a tiny sink mark here and there. I didn't actually spot those, but you know, I've not got my most powerful glasses on. You may have spotted them more than I can, because you see higher definition and much closer than I can see with the human eye. I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. I will just give it the benefit of the doubt. That's really more than I thought it was going to get. I thought it'd get high rated. I thought it'd be 8.5, 9. I think 9.5 is reasonable for that kit. I think it's absolutely superb. And any of you that seen the TV program will, you know, recognise it, I'm sure. And it's quite an iconic, almost a war-winning tank, really. Especially when you hear the story about how they propped them up on the Golan heights and fired a declined angle behind these ramps on the actual heights of the hill itself. And you know, even though the Syrians had night vision, which the Israelis didn't, they were able to knock them out. The gunnery standard was just much higher. They were able to fire faster. They were able to fire more accurately, and you know, they were hitting these T-62s and knocking them right left and centre. And I mean, they just littered the Golan Heights with T-62 tanks, especially on the plain below. Almost a massacre, really. I think I was right, by the way. I think it is a stretcher, isn't it? Though? Hopefully that won't be needed. Although if you've seen the series, you'll know it probably will be needed. But anyway, we won't give too much away about that. Well, I hope you found the review interesting. I certainly did. I enjoyed that. I thought I was going to, but I kind of got into it, and it's like, I was a bit amazed by how good it was, really. A mighty impressive piece of armour. Fantastic kit from AFV. What is the... I'll tell you what I don't know. I don't know the year of this. What was the year of manufacture? Does it tell us? Have we got a date anywhere? Because it seems very modern. Very, very up to date. The manufacturing process. Doesn't seem to say a date there. No, it doesn't give us a date. It ain't old. I don't think it's an old tooling because it's just too good. 9.5 out of 10. Thanks very much. Hope you'll give me a 9.5 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Hope you enjoyed the review, found it interesting, and you got to see lots of detail. If you're thinking about getting an interesting Centurion with a bit of a history, war-winning armour, I wouldn't hesitate at all in buying that kit. I think it comes out, you know, that all that you've seen. I think the tracks and the tank and the resin mantlet, I think it comes out. It's probably about £90, something like that, thereabouts, £100, something like that. It won't be over £100, I don't think, including VAT and all that stuff. That's in the UK. You may get it much cheaper elsewhere. They're not readily available easily. I think this had to come from, I think this came from Eastern Europe or Poland or somewhere, and the other parts, I think the mantlet came from Australia, and I think the tracks may have come from Poland, but not the same supply. So you might have to shop around to get that combination, but it is a very highly recommended set, so I would go for it. Thanks for watching. I hope to have another review for you in the not too distant future. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching and all your time, and I hope to see you very, very soon. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.